So you think you're gonna go to a city where you get a nice minimum wage, but you got in a super low cost of living? It ain't gonna happen. It ain't gonna happen. It's gonna be evened out. That's what I see. I've never seen high living wages and low cost of living. If it's kind of balanced out. If the cost of living is about medium, then the minimum wage isn't gonna be about medium. That's how that works. If you got a place where with skyrocketing wages, I mean cost of living, then you're gonna have a big minimum wage. But it's gonna be swallowed up with the cost of living. So the minimum wage really is not that beneficial because of the cost of living. The best way for it to happen is you to have an over average cost of living, minimum wage, and the cost of living is a little bit below that, so that you can save and have money, and you can live your life. You can live where you want to live. But if the cost of living is beating you, or it's just the cost of living is in the same place with the minimum wage, no one gets ahead really. America has not learned to beat the cost of living. That's the biggest problem. That's the biggest problem. The biggest things that people face, most people, they think about the cost of living and minimum wage everywhere they go. That's what they're thinking about. See, I know the world. Now you know. Okay? But what you didn't know was that most of us, are not making enough to live on our own. And everybody can't work at one time. Everybody out here working, they making living wages. So see, these are reasons that I don't submit. Because I feel in my heart of hearts that all these trillions of dollars that they be sending across seas for wars and stuff, they can apply those monies, if you will, to cost of livings and minimum wages. They can apply this. They can apply money to the workforce to have a great minimum wage or a great cost of living. They can get that down some way. They got to pay somebody, let them pay. Hey, what I supposed to do? That part. Yeah, you the government. You pay them off. You make it where the cost of living is better. You do that. You got trillions of dollars to give to Ukraine. You got money packages for Ukraine. How about you start taking some of those packages and working on the cost of living? Huh? This is the problem, man. I'm telling you. And like I said, the living wage. Those two things, we shouldn't even be having this discussion in 2022. We shouldn't, man. Look, COVID-19 is no excuse. It's no excuse, man. It's no excuse, because that was just 2 years ago. You in the same situation, basically. Okay, a little rough around the edges, but for the most part, the same situation. You have not been focused on the cost of living. This is what these politicians need to be talking about. Cost of living in the living wage. Let's get this bull out the way. Everybody's sitting up here always talking about All these irrelevant things. This is what people care about. A minimum wage, a high minimum wage, and a low cost of living. This is what everybody cares about. Do you care about anything else? Do you want a high cost of living? So then won't you press on your politicians about it? Instead of talking about racism, which ain't gonna go away. It ain't gonna go away. You can't make everybody love you. That's a fact. So won't you go down and start pressing on these people about a cost of living? Huh? Better wages and knocking down the cost of living, paying off somebody. I'm sure somebody can get paid off. These building places, give them money. Okay? Take some money out of the government and give it to these apartment facilities, these houses, these places. Start giving money to the people that own these things. The government needs to be doing that. So then the cost of living goes down. This is the problem, folks. And the fact that everybody can't work at one time. So what are we doing? What do you tell the guy to say, well, I just can't work because there ain't no jobs? I'm saying literally if everybody went out to work, literally. If you are a real society based on real rules of working and honoring people that work, then why everybody can't work at the same time then? That's a 7. Well, you're honoring people for working, but everyone can't work, so you give dishonor to the people who can't work. When everybody can't work at one time? This is getting ugly, guys. The truth is getting ugly. It's getting oogly. It's getting oogly out there. You got to look at it for what it is, man. Not what you want it to be. Everybody cannot work at one time. So how do you define that community? How do you define that civilization? Well, some people can work here, but everybody can't. That's basically what it is. In America, you ain't telling everybody else that. Well, it's good here, but everybody can't work at the same time. Now you see what I'm saying. Let alone the living wage. Because I know all those jobs are not living wages anyway. So even if by some great life-changing occurrence, I guess you could say, that everybody was working, everybody still wouldn't make a living wage. That not all these jobs, all these jobs. So if everybody was working, some people would have to still live on other people. You don't want to hear the truth. You have some people will have to live on other people because they just, whether it's their city or town, they would not be able to stand as an individual on their own. We're not made to be packed up. In every house, there should be one man and one woman. You can't have 3 men and one woman. That's a disaster. Now she cheating. She done messed around and cheated on some, because you got 2 other guys there because you can't afford the rent. Vice versa. You got a 1 woman and 3 guys. You got 1 man and 3 women. Now, the woman that's supposed to be the woman of the house has to compete with these other women. It's supposed to be 1 woman of the house, 1 man of the house, not a man having to compete with another man or a woman having to compete with other women. It won't work. And not only that, It can only be one woman authority of the house and one man authority of the house. You can't, it's no other way. It's no other way, man. So guess what that means? People are basically being reduced down to childhood, living submitted to other people as adults in your country, emasculated in some cases, having to submit to another man is just not natural. A man should be, he should be the authority of the place where he lives. The woman should be an authority of the place that she lives. Not she submitted to another authority. This is not how life was meant to be. Now you might think I'm talking about a pipe dream, but how? They got, the government has trillions of dollars, right? Why can't they pay these building owners, these apartment landlords, more money to bring down the cost of living? The government should be doing that. They should be paying the landlords. That's a 7. They should be paying them more money. Listen to what I'm saying. Therefore, paying what you should be paying. Paying off what you should be paying. This is right. This is how it will work, technically speaking. Transactions between the government and the landlords. Now the cost of living is down. It's that simple. I ain't telling you no pipe dream. This is what you do. And I'm sure they will be pacified. They get another fat check. Landlords get a fat check. Yeah, we bring that down. Shoot, why not? It's working out. Working out for me. See, nobody's thinking about it. This is what I'm saying. And this, when you leave anything unattended for too long, it gets out of control. Now, cost of living is just all about people out here getting money, and you can't blame them. You can't blame them. You blame the government. Well, they the ones supposed to govern us, navigate us. They're not navigating us properly. They're not. They're not doing that. They should have they should have went so hard on cost of living. It should be good. What they doing though, with all that money? The main goal, number 1, is cost of living, man. What else? Cost of living is number 1. Hello? Hello? Are we here? You know, what do you care about most? Cost of living or racism? Hello? I gotta go with, I don't know. That's a tricky one. Because at the end of the day, you can't get rid of that anyway. You can't get rid of racism. But we can make better wages, like cost of living and minimum wages. We can make better, but definitely cost of living is the thing you got to get a hold of. You got to get a hold of that. You got to. And this is why it is the way it is. And it's out of control, but I'm giving you the answers. I am giving you the answers. I'm showing you what your community needs to do. This is what they need to do. This is what they failed to do. You cannot go around here with cost of living, not caring about the cost of living in America. This has to be tackled and destroyed. This has to be the number 1 goal. I mean, what else? What else is there? Man, listen to these politicians. They're talking about fuel and all these other stuff. Fuel? I'm talking about cost of living. I ain't talking about fuel. These American politicians are talking about fossils, fossil fuel and doing all that stuff in different places and stuff. Like, come on, man. Come on, man. Come back to the real world. These politicians are like astronauts flying around in space. Yeah, just put me in the White House. I'll be what you need. He's floating around in space. Bring him back down to Earth. Start talking about some earthly things that us earthlings like to talk about. And the number one thing is cost of living. Think about if you had a whole government, Democrats and Republicans, if you had a whole government that cared about the cost of living. You see what I'm saying? This is more important than anything. Now you see why now you see why I am the way I am. Because I see things for what they are, man. Not opposed to what we want them to be. It's ridiculous. All everybody has to do is focus on the cost of living. I don't care about nothing else. I don't care about nothing else. What else? What else is there to care about? I've already covered the children part. You got 44 states of child marriage. You got that going. I've already covered what you need. What else? Besides that, and cost of living, what else? What are we talking about? Violence, I told you about what you need to do there. Violence, you need to give people 20 years or better. Your whole society needs a facelift. That's the problem. America needs a facelift. 40 years, 20 years or better. If you go do a mass shooting, you kill somebody, you getting 20 years and better. You getting 20 years or better. Huh? And I guarantee you the whole country will change overnight. Yeah, you know, you do a shooting, man, you're getting 20 years. Word? White boys find out too. Yeah, you go shoot somebody up, you're getting 20 years. It would change the whole country. The reason why people doing crimes like they doing them is because you don't have hard enough charges. You give somebody 20 years, 2 decades, it's not unreasonable. They're taking lives. So if you give them 5 years, they're going to do the same thing. You give them 10 years, they probably still will. 15, maybe still. 20 years, I guarantee you, nobody's going to jail for 20 years. You think people are going to jail? So here's the thing. Here's the punchline. Here's the 7. With the bad as times get, you're going to have to change the strength of your charges. As time has gotten hard, violent, dark, evil, let's call it for what it is. We're living in evil times. Now you have to have harder laws, harder charges. And you've been holding this back in this country for the sake of sparing minorities. I understand that. Sparing non-whites like myself. But when they doing the crimes themselves too now, hey, we can't spare you now. I'm sorry. You're the one. Now, if you ain't doing the crimes, then we're going to hold it back because really it's not you necessarily, but it is you necessarily. Well, you're doing a lot of shooting and gangbanging, bro. Hey, I'm not. It's not like I'm trying to be your hidden enemy. How can we spare and consider you as a community when you're part of that problem. Think about it now. Let's be 100. So the bottom line is, it ain't got nothing to do with discrimination. It has something to do with making tougher laws for people who want to go kill people. Now, if that happens to be you, that's you. But it's done for, considering everybody's doing it, it's done for the community. Let's look at it that way. You got mass shootings. You got white people out here doing mass shootings. You got black people doing gang banging. Okay. So we got to do it this has to be done for the country. It's not about race. You can't say, well, that's geared towards black people. Well, it might be, but it ain't racism. It's based on the action of black people. Right or wrong, guys? That don't seem like racism. If you blowing people's heads off all the time, we got to make some harder laws. That ain't racism. You got these mass shooters, these white guys, they like to go out and shoot people at stores and stuff. They like, so what you gonna do? You have to respond with harder laws. 20 years. You do a mass shooting, 20 years, buddy. No chance of parole. Boom. 7. Bet you won't be doing a mass shooting. I bet you won't. Well, you must be suicidal. Because most of your youth is going to be gone. You go in there when you're 20, you coming out when you're 40. You go in there when you're 40, you coming out at 60. 20 years is a major blow to the human. You go in there 20, you coming out at 40 years old. That's all your 30s gone. Because you want to be a mass shooter. That part. You do it at 18, you come out almost before 40. All your 20s and 30s is gone. It's the perfect sentence. 20 years will teach you. I guarantee you that. You get 20 years, it will teach you, buddy. You go in there at 18, you come out at 38. You come out as almost a 40-year-old man. You are taught properly, buddy. I give you 5 years, man, that ain't nothing. You come out with more reputation. Yeah, I went and did 5 years, held it down. Now, all you're doing now is coming out with harder reputation, doing harder crimes. This is how it happens. These guys go in the prison system, come out with more reputation, and become harder criminals. You ain't gonna be doing that when I give you 20 years. I give you 20 years, you ain't coming out representing nothing. you 2 decades of your life is gone. You ain't come out representing nothing. I promise you that, buddy. You won't want to represent nothing.